Hey dolls, welcome back to my channel. Today is lucky number 13, Freaky Friday number 13. Can you believe it? Thank you all who have stuck by this series. Please don't forget to interact with this series, share it with your friends, give the video a thumbs up, comment down below. The more interaction it gets, the more YouTube sees that you guys are really enjoying it, and they won't put it on the back burner and kill my video views. So the more you interact, the better it is for my channel and for my regular videos and these videos, because I really do not want to stop doing them. So thank you so much to everyone who is just, these videos get the best interaction. So I love you guys for just sticking by and being so loyal. Thank you so much. But yes, we have some great stories today. If you do want to submit your story, please submit it to freakyfridays2019@gmail.com. Before I keep blabbing, if you are not subscribed, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell notification to be notified when I upload videos. All right, dolls, let's get into these spooky stories. Hey, dolls. So this first story is from Eliza. Hello from San Antonio, Texas. I love your videos and you're so inspiring. Thank you, babes. My story I would like to share starts out in 2005. It was a sunny spring day. I was in the middle of school and school just ended around 4 p.m. My mom and I were headed to pick up my brothers at the nearby high school. On the way, there's an intersection with a railroad crossing, a small car dealership at one corner, and the other corner was an 18-wheeler trailer storage, which is fenced off. The street we were on runs along the railroad tracks, when suddenly, driving up to the intersection, my mom looks to the sky and says, "What's that?" I roll down the window, stick my head out, and see a vortex. It looked like an upside-down tornado or funnel. It was high, all the way into the sky, and huge, covering up at least about half a block wide of the street. There was absolutely no helicopters, airplanes, or any flying object to cause this. No one else saw, but maybe one other person at the intersection. What is unexplainable is that there was no sound, but there were multicolored papers around 11 by 7 in size, spinning rapidly down from the sky. They were iridescent, in gold and silver and copper. Some were even blue like the sky, almost transparent. We could tell that there was a type of writing or symbols on the sheets. However, they were falling on top of the trailers and behind the fences, so we could not get one. But the ones that did fall nearby on the tracks and grass, my mom parked and quickly went to get them. She said they just disappeared because there was nothing there. When we looked back up to the sky, it had just stopped and vanished. My mom did have a cell phone, but it did not have a camera, unfortunately. We both have the same recollection to this day and will never know or can never get an answer of this mysterious vortex or what these sheets were. Okay, so it was 2005. Even if you guys did have your camera phone on you, or if you did have a camera phone, it would have been complete crap quality and you probably weren't going to get much video out of that. I do believe that there are portals to, which might sound crazy to some people, but I do believe in portals. I think there are times or points in time where realms do collide. I've never heard of sheets of paper different colors. Like in any stories that I've heard about portals, I've never heard that. So I'm really curious to know if those sheets of paper represent anything. Thank you so much, Eliza, for sharing your story. This next one is from Leah, and it is titled La Llorona. Hey Ashley, my name is Leah, and I love your videos. I'm enjoying this new series. It's the best. This will be a short story, but I hope you enjoy it. This took place in Michoacan, Mexico, in my small pueblo's graveyard about 5 years ago. So me and my family visit Mexico every 2 years, and we always go visit my great-grandparents. One day, it was around 9, almost 10, and we got bored, so my mom, little brother, and I went to the graveyard. Usually, you have to go to the man that owns the graveyard to open the doors to the graveyard, but we just hopped the fence. It was my mom's idea. My mom and my little brother went in while I was outside the fence because I was too scared. So I was just looking in, and even though my great-grandparents' graves are towards the front, I still saw my mom and brother walk all the way towards the back. In my head, I was like, what the hell are they doing? My mom yells at me to come inside so I can explore with them. I said no, but right when I yelled no to my mom, I couldn't see them anymore through the fog. So I was like, okay, let's just sit right here and wait for them to come back, and meanwhile, I'll text my primos. I was sitting there for no more than 3 minutes, and I began to hear a woman crying. In my head, I was like, oh but I was just still chilling. Minutes go by and I hear a cry again. I look up and I see something in white just floating towards the back of the graveyard. I'm blind without my glasses, but I refused to believe it was her. I squinted as much as I could, and it was her. I freaked out because she was coming closer to the front. The cry was becoming louder and louder. I closed my eyes, prayed, and called on my great-grandparents to protect me. Next thing you know, I feel a tap on my shoulder and I opened my eyes. My mom and brother were in front of me. There was a sign of relief, but I told my mom what happened and she said, "Ay, sí, son esos películas que tú mires tanto." Basically saying, oh yes, it's those movies that you're always watching. I'm assuming like horror movies, scary movies. To this day, she doesn't believe me, but I know what I saw and it was La Llorona. I refuse to go to the graveyard at night anymore because F that. I hope you enjoy my story. Sorry if it's too long. Much love, Leah. I pray that I never, ever, ever have to experience La Llorona anywhere. The fact that you stayed there by yourself, you are a brave one. Thank you so much, Leah, for sharing your story. This next story is from Rebecca, and it is titled My Fault. Hey beautiful, so I'm just going to jump straight into some scary stories of mine. When I was 13, I went to Arizona to stay with my Nina and Nino for the summer. I had my own room that had a ceiling light and fan that you would have to manually pull the strings to turn on. So one night, my Nina called me down for dinner and I turned the light off in my room and headed down. Not even a minute later, as I'm walking down the stairs, my lights turned back on. I look down at my Nina and Nino, who also see my light turn on, and they have this pale, scared look on their face. I feel a very cold breeze hit the back of my neck, and without thinking, just jumped 4 stairs to the bottom. My Nino ran up to my room and yells, "Go away, you're not welcome in this home." After he yells, the lights turned off. Next day, I was with my cousin in the same house downstairs in a room with her 2 babies. We were listening to Drake on her stereo, lol, and I was standing next to the stereo while she was on the bed changing the baby's diaper. Then the stereo cut the music and this screeching yell comes out of it at a volume louder than what we had it. Also, there was a baby pacifier in front of the stereo that moved almost as if someone had pushed it with their finger. My cousin held her baby and automatically looked at me and said, "It's you brought it here." She looked terrified, and I don't blame her because it's true. Something dark follows me, and I know that. So I went to my room. When I left Arizona, my Nina and cousin swear nothing has happened since. But my Nina was always there for me and never blamed me, which is why I love him more. LOL. Thanks for reading the story of mine. Love you, Becca. That is creepy that you know something dark follows you. I swear I would carry a cross and sage, holy water, the Bible with me, all places, if something dark like that was following me. Thank you so much, Becca, for sharing your story. This next story is from Jennifer M. Hey Ashley, love your channel. So does my sister-in-law Gabby. My name is Jennifer and I have a couple of stories. They are all kind of linked together because they all have happened in the house I live now. I'm kind of long-winded, so I'll try my best to keep these as short as I can. Story 1. In 2010, my husband and I moved into our current home. I never really believed in ghosts, mainly because I never had experienced anything paranormal. Well, that has since changed. About 1 week after we moved in, we were both asleep. I used to have it as dark as possible to sleep. Well, in the middle of the night, I woke up suddenly and opened my eyes and I saw a man standing next to the side of my bed staring at me. But it was like a mist, but could still see him and his features perfectly. He was older and had a beard. Well, that scared me so bad I started screaming and crying. My husband woke up and was asking me what happened. I couldn't get anything out for at least 5 minutes. My husband was freaking out because he couldn't get me to calm down and tell him what was wrong. When I finally calmed down and told him what I saw, he tried to say, "Oh, it was probably just a dream." I knew it wasn't just a dream. For several months, I had to sleep with the closet light on and closet door wide open. I still wake up and see him sometimes, but he usually goes away after I close my eyes for a little bit, then open them again. I don't think he's evil or anything, and I'm not scared of him anymore when I see him. Story 2. This went on around the same time frame as the first story. I used to have a pet guinea pig. I kept her in our guest room. When I would clean out her cage, I would get pee pads and tape them to the bottom of her cage under the bedding. I would use scissors to cut the tape and set them down and turn around to do the cage, and when I turned back around to get the scissors, they would be gone. I would search everywhere for them and would not be able to find them, so I would always go get another pair from our kitchen to use. Then a couple days later, they would turn back up in the guest room in a random spot. That went on for years. Well, one day, when they went missing, I said out loud, "Spirit, I know you are here. I acknowledge you. Please give me back my scissors." Then I turned away, then turned back, and the scissors would be there. So I would do that when he would take scissors, and eventually the ghost quit taking my scissors. Jeez! Story 3. My husband and I got married in 2015. Our living room lights can be dimmed with the light switch. Well, the night before we got married, we were in the living room talking, getting ready to go to sleep, and the lights started going through all dimmer settings over and over again. We were like, what the I took it as a spirit, possibly my husband's mother, letting us know they were going to be with us on our special day. My husband said there was probably something wrong with the electrical wiring. That happened again several months later, and that time I caught it on video and posted it on my Instagram. My father-in-law stayed at our house with us for a couple of weeks before we got married because he lived with my sister-in-law and her family was going on vacation, and he had been diagnosed with diabetes, and she wanted to make sure he ate right and took his medicine while they were gone. Well, after I posted the video of the lights on my Instagram, my sister-in-law texted me. She said something like, "Hey, I saw the video of your lights. Has anything else happened? Like, have you seen any ghosts or anything? Because when my dad stayed at your house, he said he kept seeing dark shadows in the guest room he was staying in." And she said at first when he told her, she thought it might have been his medication making him see things, so she didn't really think anything of it. But when she saw the video, the thought maybe he actually did see them and thought I should know. Story number 4. My grandmother passed away in August of 2016. I was very close with her. She was like my second mom. Well, I took it pretty hard. If I'm being honest, I still struggle some days. Her birthday is June 16th. Well, almost a year had passed since she had passed away. It was June 2017. My husband and I were sleeping, and I had my iPad on my nightstand like I do every night, and all of a sudden we hear a loud noise. We woke up and turned the light on, and my iPad was on the carpet. It was like 2 a.m. on June 16th when that happened. I told my husband the next day that I thought maybe that was Mama, letting me know she was still around. My husband, of course, said, "Oh, I probably had my iPad hanging off the edge too far and it fell." I have a glass candy dish on my nightstand, and later that day I went to the restroom in our bedroom, and from the toilet looking out, my nightstand is close to it. Well, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden the lid to the candy jar falls off and gently lands on the floor and rolls all the way into the bathroom without breaking. I went and told my husband, and he said, "Oh, you must have bumped the nightstand on the way into the restroom." My nightstand is very sturdy, so to prove to him bumping into it wouldn't make the lip fall off, I shook the nightstand as hard as I could, and it never fell off. Those are all my stories. Sorry it was long. I'm looking forward to more Freaky Friday videos. Love, Jen. Why do these ghosts or spirits need to stand over you in the middle of the night knowing that you're going to get the scared out of you? Story number 2 scares me because what if that damn thing was gonna try to harm you guys with the scissors or something? I don't know. I mean, it never did, so good thing nothing bad really happened. And have you ever thought about blessing the house? Maybe seeing if they might go away? Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing your stories. This next story is from Miracle. Oh, I love that name. Hey, lovely, my name is Miracle. I'm 13. Oh, you're a baby. I've been with you for 2 years, and this is my first time telling anyone this, and I hope you enjoy. We had just moved into our new home in Brooklyn. My little brother had the smallest room next to the bathroom, and my mom and her husband had the biggest. My room was at the end of the hall, and when someone opened their room or bathroom door, I would see who it was from my bed. This night, I heard someone's door open, and I woke up. Not to mention, I'm a deep sleeper, so it's hard for me to just wake up. So I heard the door and sat up in my bed, and there was no one there. I look around my room to find a little girl sitting in the corner of my room. Me being the Brooklyn girl that I am, I called out to her, but there was no answer. She just lifted her head. She had big curly hair and was wearing underwear. This time I invited her to come sit on my bed next to me, and when she stood up, I could see that she was bruised and there were scratches all over her body. I'm a big punk when it comes to these kinds of things, but with her, I didn't feel scared. As she sat next to me, I can see scars on her hands as if she had been tied up. I asked her a lot of questions like who did this, where they were, what's their name, but she would only answer to yes or no questions. So those were the only ones I would ask her. For 2 weeks, I would call out to her every day and she would come and I would tell her my problems because she became my best friend. One day, I saw a video on YouTube of a girl that was starved and tied up for weeks until she was murdered by her mother and boyfriend. And the picture in the video looked just like the girl in my room. So I did my research and found out that they were the same girl. Till this day, we still live here, and I never told my mom because I know that she would make us move again, and I don't want to leave Jayla there by herself. That's her name. I hope you had fun reading this, and this makes it to one of your videos. Bye, lovely. That is, oh my gosh, these stories like that about children and dying young, just horrible, awful deaths, always break my heart. But you are so sweet, Miracle. The fact that you built this connection and relationship with her, you are such a sweetheart, and I just hope that she eventually can be able to rest. Thank you so much, Miracle, for sharing your story. Okay, dolls, this next story is from AJH, titled 2 for the Price of 1. You have a male fan here. Yay! My wife says you're like my internet girlfriend. Sorry, Jay. That's too funny. Too bad he's not here. I'm going to have to show him this. That is very sweet. Thank you. My first story, I feel, could have been a guardian angel that took the form of a shadow figure to help us. We live in Rancho Cucamonga, and my family lives in Long Beach. I try to visit once a week on my off days. One night, as we were driving back from home on the 605 freeway, it was semi-empty. We were about to reach the 10 freeway interchange when a large shadow figure ran across from the slow lane to the front of my car. I jolted up and tried swerving out of the way, fully expecting to hear a thud. Nothing happened. My wife had seen the figure as well. We were quite shocked and trying to figure out what had just happened. Well, this caused me to forget the transition onto the 10 freeway, and I was forced to continue down the highway to the 210 instead. We get home about 11 p.m. and my wife jumps on social media. A friend of hers posted a photo of her being stuck in the 10 freeway due to a traffic jam right about our normal exit. There had been a pretty bad crash that closed a few lanes that occurred not too long before we got home. Till this day, I feel like the shadow figure purposely distracted me on the freeway to prevent us from going down the 10 and possibly being involved in a horrible accident. I completely agree. That shadow figure was definitely trying to protect you. I feel like it would have been a tragic accident, not just a horrible accident, but a tragic one. The second story involves my sister-in-law's haunted house. Back when we first started dating, my wife had taken me to a kids' party at her sister's house. This was about twilight as the sun was starting to set. At the party, my wife decided to give me a tour of the two-story house. On the second floor, from right to left, was her niece's room, the guest bedroom, her nephew's room, and one last bedroom at the end of the hall. She was touring me in her niece's room, and as we were leaving that room and transitioning to the next, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed what I thought was the nephew open the door to his room, enter, and then close the door behind him. I heard the door shut. When my wife reached his room, she opened the door but peeked inside before entering. It was pitch black inside, and she turned on the light. The nephew was now in sight. I watched my wife as she looked around the room confused but didn't say anything. I thought of saying something, but I was too spooked. I would wait until I got the hell out of that room. Later, while eating, I looked over at her and said, "You saw someone go into that room, didn't you?" And smiled. She nodded yes and said that she didn't want to say anything because she thought I would get freaked out. The figure that walked into the room was about a kid's height, basically like a little shadow. This is just one story of many from that house. I don't know how they can live in that place with so much activity. I barely even like visiting them for short periods of time because the place creeps me out so much. LOL, thanks for reading my stories. More to come. I too do not understand how some people can live in these houses. Well, you know, it depends. They probably don't feel threatened because my grandmother, there was a lot of activity at her house and she never felt threatened. I, on the other hand, in my room, there was definitely something dark there, but some other people where they have these really bad demon experiences and still live there, I don't know how they do that. Thank you so much, AJ, for sharing your story. This next one is a short and sweet one. This is from Lindsay, and it is titled, My Creepiest Story. Hi, Ashley. Love you and your channel, and I'm in love with the Freaky Friday series. My name is Lindsay, and my spooky story is one I was too young to remember, but my mom has experienced with me. I have had a lot of creepy, unexplainable things happen to me when I was younger, but this is by far the creepiest. I was around 4 when it happened. My mom said I was playing outside with her in our front yard when a jet flew by. She pointed it out to me and said, "Look, there's a plane." She was expecting me to be excited, but I freaked out and started crying hysterically. I told her that the plane was going to crash in water. I repeated it over and over to her. I told her that a lot of people were going to get hurt. My mom told me, "Don't say that, that's awful." But she said I kept going on and started listing the names of people who were on the plane. She said she couldn't get me to calm down, so she had to take me inside. The next morning when my mom got the newspaper, the headline of a plane crash was in a lake near where I lived. The airplane looked just like the one that flew over us the previous day. To this day, she has saved the newspaper article clipping of the plane crash and has written down all of the details that I told her that day. I hope you like my spooky story. Love you guys. These always fascinate me because it can either be like a premonition that you're predicting the future, or it's a past life or something that has happened in another dimension, I guess you can say. I don't know. I believe in all that stuff, so it's always fascinating to me when other people predict things like this. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for sharing your story. Okay, dolls, so I have 2 more stories for you, and they're short. That way the video isn't too long. This next one is from Thomas Bradley, Instagram at Thomas Bradley. Hi, I'm from the UK. Before I get started with my Freaky Friday story, can I just say I love you and all your videos. Thank you so much, Thomas. I love you more. So my story is about an old 1870 building. My nana worked there from 1980 till 2012. This building was built over an old graveyard, oh that's fun, and had a funeral parlor at the bottom of the shop. This first time my nana went into the storeroom of the part she was in, the men's/toys part, she felt as though a nail was sticking up in the first aisle as it pulled her trousers at the bottom. She felt, but no nail there. This happened several times, but just ignored it. Then in the corner of the same store, room bags would just come off the rails, and shoe boxes would be lifted up and fall to the ground. She knew then there was a ghost who was harmless and called it Edgar. Wow, she even named it. How cute. The ankle grabber. Oh, Edgar the ankle grabber. 2 months later, there were more mysterious things happening around the shop, and 3 people said that they saw a man in a hat and tail appear and then leave. The staff there just ignored what was going on and knew they were friendly and harmless. Sorry this story is so long and hope it gets on a Freaky Friday episode. Thanks. Oh, it was perfect. It was not long at all. I actually considered it short. I think it's so cute that your grandmother actually named the ghost Edgar the ankle grabber. It's probably a little kid or someone trying to have fun. But thank you so much, Thomas, for your story. And the last story for today's 13th episode. This one is from Tina S. Hi, Ashley, big time fan and long time follower. So here's my story. 5 years ago, I was living with my daughter in a mobile home. Across the road from our house was a small family cemetery. Mostly children were buried there. The oldest person was 22. Weird things started happening shortly after I moved in with her. Things would disappear, silly things that made no sense, like my sugar canister, my grandkids' toys, my ink pens. There was a small bedroom that no one slept in because that's where most of the activity was centered. There wasn't a bed in there, but we could hear what sounded like someone jumping on a bed during the night. Ugh. My sugar canister showed up 3 months later wrapped in a baby blanket. That is so odd. Which, by the way, wasn't her blanket. In the closet in that room. Most everything that went missing could be found in there if we waited a little while. So one morning, I was home alone. I was sitting in the living room with a direct line of vision down the hallway. I'm a smoker, and I caught what I thought was cigarette smoke streaming through the sunlight out of the corner of my eye. I raised up and looked down the hall, and standing in front of that bedroom door was the most gorgeous little blonde curly-haired boy I'd ever seen. He was dressed in little short pants, a vest, and white shirt with ruffles at the neck. I immediately picked my phone up and called my daughter. I was literally crying. As I stood there telling her what I'm seeing, I started to talk to him. He smiled the sweetest smile. He was so angelic. Then he just shimmered away. When my daughter came home later that day, we did some research about that cemetery. Come to find out, the people buried there were relatives of her dad's. One little boy named Hodges Adams passed away in 1927. I actually spoke to his sister and found out that he had passed from pneumonia after falling into a pond. Oh, poor baby. I believe he was our little ghost. We never seen or heard from him again. That story is so sweet. Thank you so much, Tina, for sharing your story. So that is it for today's stories, my loves. I'm going to move on to the outfit and hopefully unspook you guys a bit. All right, let's get into this outfit. Alright dolls, so for the outfit, I have the gingham double-breasted blazer and skirt set. This is from Forever 21, and I paired it with my Nola boots by Current Mood, which is also Doll's Kill. I just wanted to do kind of a punky Cher from Clueless vibe, especially since I found this affordable, cute outfit at Forever 21. Now what I also did was I paired just a regular crop tank that I had already in my closet, and just in case you wanted to open it up. And look at these cute chains. I think it's so adorable. It definitely gives me Clueless vibes with a little bit of punk. So that is it for today's 13th Freaky Friday video, my loves. Thank you so much, my loves. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below. Let me know which story was your favorite. And I love you, dolls, and I will see you next week. Bye!